Boom, shakalaka boom. You're tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live here on 103.9 FM, a WYAB, streaming worldwide at Save JXN on Facebook, X, and the Tube of You, YouTube, as well as at Clay Edwards Show on Rumble. It's the Rumble in the Jungle. I can't hear Rumble without thinking Rumble in the Jungle. Man, good morning here on a hump day. It is hump day, isn't it? Wednesday. I have confirmed on my smart device here. It is, in fact, Wednesday. I was thinking about that on the way in. All these days start to run together, man. Over the weekend, it kind of dawned on me. It was like, man, it's another weekend. You know, it's like you feel like you're working towards some kind of great resolve, some great destination, some goal, and you realize you never actually get there. It's just another week. It's just another weekend. It's just another Monday. It's just another Sunday. And then it all starts over again every Monday. And it's kind of depressing if you think about it, because that's really just life. There is no big payoff ever. Yeah, you accumulate things and you accumulate moments, but there's never this big destination that you feel like you're working towards, whether it's through working out, bettering yourself, spending time with family, whatever this vision you have of like, one day I'm going to make it. I'm going to get to the goal, the destination, whatever that is. And because of the way the mechanics of life work, you never really achieve that moment. It's kind of weird how it works, because like so much goes into it that it's not as enjoyable by the time you get there. Whether that's marrying your dream person, getting your dream job, because of all the work that goes into it, because nothing just happens at the snap of a finger. I don't know. I was just thinking about that this weekend. I was like, man, just working so hard, but I'm just working so hard to survive. It's like there is no magic destination. I guess what I'm saying is enjoy the moments. That's why people say it's about the journey, not the destination. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy what you do, because if you don't, the destination isn't going to mean anything, because it doesn't exist. The destination does not exist. Life is just a journey. I think that is really what I began here at 48 years old to truly understand, is there is no destination. It's just the minutia of life. And you do accomplish things along the way, and you will hit these little markers of success or happiness and whatnot, but you don't just get to this place ever where all the things you want are there. All the people you want to be there with are there. That just never happens like that. So you're never going to find this just ultimate happiness. So enjoy the journey. And I'm enjoying the hell out of the journey. I want to make that clear. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying the journey, spending a lot of time alone lately. Really, really by myself more than I've ever been, and that's a good thing. I'm not asking for sympathy here. I like being by myself. I've always enjoyed spending a lot of time by myself, not having to wonder if anybody else is entertained, satisfied, happy. I can listen to whatever I want, do whatever I want, within reason. And I've always been like that. And I think I kind of get that from my mother. I've been one of them people that I can go in my room or my house or whatever and not communicate with people for 3 or 4 days at a time and be just fine. And my daughter's gotten that. She's picked up that trait from me. She can go into her room, and other than us passing in the living room, like two ships in the night, going to the kitchen, we don't see each other. And that's fine. I mean, I'll poke my head in there and be nosy every now and then, see how she's doing. But other than that, I just like my space. Really, really enjoy my space. And I've worked very hard to get the freedom and my space that I'm very particular about whom I share that space with, whom I share my time with. I mean, have you tried having a phone conversation with me lately? I dodge phone calls like Democrats dodge COVID. I do. I hate talking on the phone. Just ask Kingfish. Yeah, I'm the world's worst. He's got the worst timing when he tries to call me. Nobody has worse phone call timing than Kingfish. A, I hate talking on the phone. And B, it just never fails. I'm in the thick of doing something where I cannot answer the phone. Like, pretty much anything else that I'm doing is a good excuse not to answer the phone. But I do love answering the phone when you guys call. So the Mazda Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. Y'all hold on one second. I got to swap this cord out here. Stick it in the hole. There we go. There we go. Man, I don't know what goes on. These headphones that I use, or I don't know if it's my headphones or is this this jack here, but the headphones go out like a bad connection or something there. So anyway, stick it in the hole. Yes. All right, let's see. Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. As I open up my phone, I just got a little PayPal notification. My TikTok money has hit. Yes. Yeah, and thanks in no small part to Michael Guest and company trying to ban TikTok. My bills will now be paid. So let's jump into it, shall we? That was my unplanned monologue there. Coming up in the next segment, Tyler Tharp with Big River Ballistics is going to call in, and we're going to talk about Democrats, dastardly Democrats, trying to ban open carry. But I'm not going to wait to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it now, and then we'll get Tyler's opinion on it. Let me get this pulled up here. Yeah, so the Democrats, per usual, the black Democrats here in Mississippi, they kill themselves at industrial levels, and then, of course, everybody else should be punished for it. No. Plain and simple. No, we will not be punished because y'all can't behave, because of y'all's culture right. The rest of us will not be punished. We will not be disarmed. Meanwhile, y'all will stay armed, because that's what fixes the culture, right? More laws. We got plenty of laws. It's time we start enforcing them. How about before we ban open carry, we bring back stop and frisk? Oh, no, that's racist now. Oh, now that's racist. You can't stop and frisk. That's profiling. You're damn right it is. If you decide to dress up like these clowns do, with their pants hanging out the back of their butts, still wearing jerseys, oversized, you know what I mean, looking like a black thug. I mean, look, they go out of their way to look like thugs. They go out of their way to look like their favorite rapper who gets up there and constantly screams about drug dealing, killing, violence, and everything else. There's a look. It's a very specific look that they all go for. If you choose to look like your favorite thug, you choose to drive a vehicle like your favorite thugs all drive, Dodge Chargers. First one that comes to mind. Of course, most of them want a Dodge Charger, but they're really just on a Nissan Altima budget. So, yes, profiling is A-OK. If you decide that the look you're going after is that of the thug, then stop and frisk is perfectly okay. If you think that banning open carry is the answer, then I think stop and frisk is the answer well before we get to banning open carry. I'm curious what you guys are saying in the comments here. Let me pull my chats up here real quick. Let me get the chats on the screen here. Greg on YouTube says, rappers pimping them out for money. Garrison says, we will not be silent. No, we shall not be silent. We will not go silent in the night. Anyway, I'm pulling up my article here. So I was trying to make a video about this last night that would have dropped this morning at 6 a.m., but I was so tired when I was making it. I was literally dozing off at my computer. So I just like, okay, I'll just rant and rave about this on the show. Let me see. I'm on WLBT's website. I'm trying to find the article. I know they had one over on WAPT, but I feel pretty sure that WLBT had it too. And it was just about the citizens wanting to ban open carry. That agitators, a.k.a., what do they call themselves? Man, I sure thought that I had that story here on WALBT. Let me go to WAPT real quick. WAPT.com. Y'all remember those commercials? .com. That reminds me of something real quick. I was listening, maybe it was that idiot Jasmine Crockett, and she was talking about black culture and how white people steal black culture and how they even have their own way they say they even have their own thing that they say, we even call Target Target. No, witch. Yeah, I'm old enough to know where Target came from. I've been calling Target Target ever since those commercials in the 90s that used to come on the radio. Because, see, I used to drive a parts delivery truck. My first job out of high school that wasn't at Red Arrow Car Wash was at Great Daniels Ford driving a parts delivery truck. So I was in a truck on the roads a lot. I mean, there's no telling how much weight I gained driving through Crystals twice a day on that job. But there used to be these old commercials where it was this like rich white lady. It was kind of like a Grey Poupon commercial. And I know I'm getting totally off track here, but that's why y'all listen to this show, right? And she was trying to say, the guy was trying to talk about Target. And he's like, yeah, I go to Target. And she's like, what is this Target you speak of? I like to shop at Target. And it was pretty much like Mustard versus Grey Poupon. It was like redneck, blue-collar Target, which is kind of funny now because they're anything but. And she's like, no, I shop at Target. There was nothing black about that. That wasn't black culture. Black culture literally stole Target from white culture. If you want to call that white culture, that's where Target came from. I just find that wildly hilarious. Wildly hilarious. But Tyler, stay on hold there. Let's see here. I'm getting this article pulled up here. Let's take a break. When we come back, I'll have this article pulled up. We'll have Tyler Tharp with Big River Ballistics on the line. See if I can't stay on schedule this morning. Target. I was so mad. I was punching air. Like, what? You didn't... White culture didn't steal Target. We invented Target. Just like everything else that y'all claim y'all invented. Music. Food. I didn't invent none of that. None of that. Ironically, we did a whole show about this a few weeks ago. You know what black people did invent? Red lights. And that is so ironic because they love running them. Have you been through Jackson lately? Just sit back and watch at a busy intersection. And I ain't mad at them. I don't like stopping at red lights in Jackson either. That's why I don't go through the inner streets. In Target. Shut up. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. We're also streaming in stunning HD at Save JXN on Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can, what was I going to say there? I was going to say something. Facebook, YouTube, X. It doesn't matter. How about this? Big River Ballistics. We've got Tyler Tharp with Big River Ballistics online on the Mazda Jackson phone line, but we're going to wait just a second before we go to him, and we'll let him tell you a little bit about Big River Ballistics as well. First, though, I want to read this article real quick. This is from WAPT. The Mississippi Coalition Impact calls. What? Mississippi Coalition Impact calls for open carry repeal. Okay. Man, that's a lot. Just say dumbasses want to repeal open carry. Mississippi Coalition Impact, a.k.a. dumbasses, call for open carry repeal. Man, did Kamala Harris write that headline? Word soup. Anyway, community organizers. See, dang it. Community organizers. Oh, we're even taking these people serious. See, they're just not a serious bunch of people. They're just not. Anyhow, community organizers. See, wasn't Barack Obama a community organizer? Terrorist. First gay president. Anyway, community organizers are demanding action. They're demanding action, y'all, after a weekend of gun violence because they don't know how to raise their kids. Anyway, Mississippi, after a weekend filled with gun violence across Mississippi, community organizers and lawmakers are advocating for changes to the open carry law to promote responsible gun ownership. Yeah, remember when Chokwe Antar Lumumba tried that? Ask him how well that worked out for him. He got personally sued. Anyway, open carry has created open season within our communities, and it affects all of us, says Sharon Brown, director of the Mississippi Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. They're just making things up at this point, aren't they? The titles for these offices and these jobs and stuff. She's the director of the Mississippi Office of Violent Prevention and Trauma Recovery. Danielle Holmes, here's another made-up job. Danielle Holmes, the executive director of the Mississippi Impact Coalition, highlighted the alarming rise in gun violence deaths in the state. Mississippi has seen a 60% increase from 2010 to 2022 in gun violence deaths. It spiked in 2020, and then it started spiraling down. But now we see that it's going back up. We have to do something, Holmes said. She is advocating for changes to open carry laws in Mississippi. Lawmakers, including Malcolm Johnson's favorite LGBTQ representative, Fabian Nelson, are in agreement with the need and responsible gun ownership. Quote, there's a lot of gray area because I understand what people are saying, that we don't want our constitutional rights violated. However, responsible gun ownership is something that we have to have, and we do not have responsible gun ownership here in Mississippi, said Nelson. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. We have overwhelmingly responsible gun owners here in Mississippi. There's just a small demographic who has no business owning guns that aren't responsible with guns. The rest of us will not be punished. We will not go silent in the night. We will not be punished because young blacks, let's just be honest, overwhelming majority of this gun violence is young blacks. Yes, we get the occasional white school shooter here and there, the occasional white trans school shooter, and I agree, they don't need guns either. I would be A-okay with stomping all over their constitutional rights as well. But I digress. Under the current state law, anyone 18 or older can legally purchase and carry a firearm without needing a permit. However, Larry Cowart, owner of Dead Eye Arms, believes that removing firearms is not the solution. He would be correct. Quote, that's totally ridiculous. If we take all the guns away and just give it to the police and give it to the military, so to speak, you're going to have more violence in this country than you ever dreamed of, said Cowart. All right, that's the end of that. Now let's go to the phone lines. On the Mazda Jackson phone lines, we have our in-house gun expert, our Second Amendment constitutionalist, my good friend, Mr. Tyler Thart with Big River Ballistics. Hey, brother.
Hey, good morning, Clay. How are you?
I'm fired up, man. I'm fired up.
Yep, me too.
I read that last night as I was getting ready to go to bed, and I was so tired and mad that I couldn't even make the video I was wanting to make. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to save the energy for in the morning. And as I read that, I'm just like, are you kidding? They sit there and said, I just want to read this quote again real quick again from Fabian Nelson. And it says, there's a lot of gray area because I understand what people are saying, that we don't want our constitutional rights violated. However, responsible gun ownership is something that we have to have, and we do not have responsible gun ownership here in Mississippi. What a slap in the face to responsible gun owners.
Oh, man, we ain't had responsible leadership since I don't know when. What are we going to do, ban all politicians? Is that how we fix that?
I like it. It's a good start.
Like murder, drugs, all these things, even simple assault has been quote-unquote banned / illegal for God knows how long, yet they still do it. And it doesn't matter where they carry the gun on their body, whether it's open carry, which I think is silly, but it's everybody's right, and I will defend that right. Or if they wedge it down in their pants, so to speak. Mexican carry is kind of the slang term for that. They normally just throw it in their pants with no holster or anything, wedge it in the waistband. It doesn't matter. They're still going to do the same thing. The action is still going to happen. They're just going to produce the gun from a different spot on their body. Just because it's open or not is going to make zero difference.
Well, also, most of these people are concealed carrying illegally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so these people aren't open carrying. They're concealed carrying, and they don't have their concealed carry permits.
So concealed carry, we're a constitutional carry state. So as long as you're 21 years of that age, not a prohibited person, that is a habitual user of drugs, alcohol, or convicted of domestic violence charge in the past 6 months, you can conceal carry a gun in Mississippi. Now, there's a lot of restrictions, like you're not supposed to conceal carry it at sporting events, any establishments of alcohol. Like there's a bunch of places you're not technically supposed to. But yeah, we're a constitutional carry state, and you can legally conceal carry without a permit.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess I knew that, but they're continuing to say open carry. They want to ban open carry.
Yeah.
And it is not. This is not an open carry problem. This is
No, it's not.
This is I mean, if we're going to say there's a problem, look, what this is a culture problem. But if we want to get technical, they're hiding these guns, and then they're pulling them out when they're ready to use them.
Yeah.
Because, God forbid, dude, this is Clay Edwards speaking just for Clay Edwards here. If I rolled up somewhere and I see a bunch of YNs with open carry, guess what I'm not doing? I'm not stopping there. I am leaving that scene immediately. So I would prefer them open carry. So at least I know. But frankly, I'm at the point where when I see YNs, I just assume they're carrying, whether it's concealed or open, and I just avoid them altogether either way. And I recommend y'all do the same.
It's it's a problem. It's as old as gun ownership itself, and the root problem is the powers that be wanting to limit the rights of the not powers that be, which has been a root cause since the dawning of humanity. You can look at any civilization over time. The people in leadership always find a way to want to restrict the rights and abilities of the people beneath them. This is just one of those tools in the so-called tool chest that the politicians and leaders are pulling out right now, and they're taking advantage of a recent incident to justify it. This is how it's always been, and it's how it's always going to be.
Well, I mean, I don't even know why I'm going to ask this. What do you think the solution is? I mean, because look, most of these people who get arrested are convicted felons with firearms. I mean, if you ever just finish reading the whole articles on these things, they're usually also charged with convicted felon in possession of a firearm. I did not see that charge on the Leland, Mississippi shooters or the Heidelberg shooters. The Heidelberg shooters are just so young, they hadn't had a chance to catch their felony yet.
Right.
The Leland shooters are old enough, and I'm sure that they probably have felons. They just didn't have that charge listed yet. But I'll be shocked if we don't end up seeing that felon in possession of a firearm.
Yeah, I think the solution is to equip police with what they need to just do their job better and sort of take the shackles off and let them do their jobs.
Stop and frisk.
Yeah, well, some of that's kind of shaky ground at best because anybody can be a cop and they can apply their
biases,
dislikes to any walk of life and justify making a civilian's life hard just because they felt like it. But man, just let the cops be, man. Let them do their jobs and fund them more, get them better training and all that. Like, you're never going to stop evil. That's never going to happen. God, like, Lucifer existed in the kingdom of heaven, if evil once existed in the most perfect place to ever have existed, do you think we're going to eliminate it here on earth? It ain't going to happen. So anything trying to ban whatever tool that the evil people are using is just a pipe dream.
What's going on out there at Big River Ballistics?
Oh, man, just selling memberships, trying to get people to come out and have a good time, get some folks geared up for hunting season, getting their rifles zeroed in. We got an enhanced carry class. Speaking of concealed carry, we got an enhanced carry class this weekend. So all the ins and outs on what you can legally do with a pistol on your body this weekend starts at 8.
So if I've never taken a class, if I have no concealed carry permit, nothing like that, is that something Clay Edwards can come to?
Oh, it's a perfect class. It is probably the best beginner class that happens in this state, because our state mandates what the class can and can't be, and the state basically mandates it to be the most basic 101 class you can imagine. Like, we're not even allowed to let the students draw from a holster. So the state kind of has our hands tied behind our back on what we can and can't teach. But like, because of that, it makes a great beginner course.
So do I need to bring anything with me?
If you have a gun, bring a gun, at least 50 rounds of ammo, eye and ear pro. If you don't have any of that, show up anyway. Let us know. We have rental guns. We have ammo on site, eyes, ears, all the things. Just you need a valid driver's license. That's really the only thing that I can't supply you. So
preferably, you got to have your driver's license, your gun, and a holster, if you got a gun and a holster.
If you got one, yeah, bring it on. We'll use it if you got it. If not, we'll supply some.
What time does it start?
It starts at 8 a.m. So if you want to get in last minute, you can call us. You can go sign up on the website. You can call us, or you can just show up the morning of about 30 minutes early, and we can manually enter you. No problem. Do
you have to be a member?
Nope, not at all.
How much does it cost?
$125.
$125. All right, guys. Big River Ballistics out there in Morton, Mississippi, this Saturday, 8 a.m. Get signed up for the concealed carry class, and you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot about your rights and the proper procedure for concealed carry. I like it, brother. I'm over here. I'm going to check my schedule and make sure I haven't put myself in any plans that I'm not aware of, and I think you'll see me there.
Perfect timing, ain't it?
It is. All right, brother. We'll get together. We'll go ahead and get this event that we want to do planned too. So, all right, brother.
Yes. Yep.
Tyler Tharp, Big River Ballistics, getting his thoughts this morning on the crazy suggestion on banning open carry. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks. We'll be right back here on the Clay Edwards Show. I want to unpack all the text and comments that we've gotten on this. If you want to call in this morning, give your thoughts and opinions on it, the Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. Coming up in hour 2, we're going to discuss this crazy case up in North Mississippi where a educator basically just got a slap on the wrist for sexually assaulting a student. Insane. We're going to talk about that and more. Don't go anywhere. Got a hell of a show lined up for you this morning here on WYAB. Well, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Real quick, guys, quick reminder. Stonington Farm grass-fed beef is going to be up here this Friday, making a delivery. So if you are in the market for some grass-fed, grass-raised, grass-fed, grass-finished, Mississippi-raised beef, check out my friends at Stonington Farm. You can check out the website at stoningtonfarm.com. That's stoningtonfarm.com. I'm getting mighty low myself since I finally figured out a good use for all this ground-up hamburger meat that I've been getting from them for a while, making those protein meatballs I was talking about yesterday. Really, really good. I take 2 pounds of hamburger meat. I take 1 block of cream cheese. I melt the cream cheese, put it in the hamburger meat, mix it all up. I do some other seasonings and stuff with it, and I cook the meatballs. I think I get like 26 meatballs out of a pound, so 12 meatballs per pound. And I throw them in the air fryer, or I'll smoke them or grill them. I've done them in the oven. I've tried it several different ways, and just to be honest with you, the air fryer really seems to be the best way. They say juicier that way. And all the stuff all that cream cheese and stuff that cooks out of them, I'm able to scoop it out of the bottom of the air fryer and throw it in the Ziploc bag with them anyway. So yummy. And then, so, man, if I get hungry throughout the day, if I want a snack, I just heat up a meatball or two. According to my app, each one's, about 16, 17 grams of protein, no carbs, and I'm full. It works. So check them out, man. StoningtonFarm.com. They got all the great stuff. Steaks, hamburger meat, beef tallow, grass-fed, beef broth, bone broth, and more. So that bone broth, if you're fasting, bone broth is a great way to get you a source of protein throughout your day without breaking your fast. So good stuff there. All right, man. StoningtonFarm.com. So let's unpack some of your text messages here real quick on the Guns and Gear text line. Some of the stuff you see on Facebook, man. Some of the stuff Facebook will allow as an ad. And I realize we were not streaming on Facebook for some reason, but we are now. So you missed people on Facebook. You missed the first segment or two. You can go back and watch that on YouTube, X, or Rumble. So, dang it, wrong app. My Blink app and my Google Voice app look the same. And hey, look, quick reminder. Again, the Guns and Gear text line only comes to Clay Edwards. None of the other hosts have access to the Guns and Gear text line. That phone number is strictly comes to my phone. So if you're listening to other shows and you're texting them, they don't get it. It doesn't bother me. You're not bugging me. You're not bothering me. Nothing like that. And then I try to shoot people a text back that's telling them, hey, those guests are not getting those texts. So I don't want you to think those guests are ignoring you. They just they don't get them. They don't get those texts. All right, so we had a texter that said, has anyone asked themselves why adult shooters were at a teenage homecoming party? So, and I did clear that up. The block party in Leland was a community block party. It may have been it was in front of a nightclub or something. So it may have been like 4th Avenue in Jackson had that block party at the St. Patty's Day parade where all that shooting and stuff happened at. One of those kind of block parties where everybody's invited. So, but with that said, black culture wraps their arms around these high school homecoming events way more so than white culture. Like most white people get out of high school and we never want to go back. What I've noticed, like with black culture over the years, is like they have really deep, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with this, by the way. I'm just saying that I just noticed that black folks really hang on to those high school years and they represent those high schools way more than like white people do. The white culture does. I mean, like, somebody went to Lanier or Provine, whatever, no matter how old they are, they'll still be wearing a hat or something from there. Still, talking about it at homecoming, where rarely do you ever see white adults getting fired up about high school unless their kids go there or play there. So I guess anyway, that's why you see these adults all excited about these or attending these high school homecoming things. It's just a culture thing. Black culture is way more plugged into high school homecoming activities. Unknown texter says Fabian is a hypocrite. I have no doubt. That's a long text. Let's read this. So how did these thugs acquire the funds to purchase ammo and firearms? Yes, I know some are stolen. Believe it or not, most was bought legally. They had to wait 2 to 3 days before picking up firearms. But nonetheless, how did they get the funds? Well, I tell you, it was from all those stimulus checks and with all the government-funded programs. They have plenty to spend on guns and switches. Cut out a lot of these programs and less ammo can be purchased. Well, one thing is they're not buying these guns. For the most part, they're not buying them new at gun stores. And I know this is going to aggravate some people. I know some of my 2A people are about to get mad at me. There is, in fact, a gun show loophole. And they are, in fact, taking advantage of that gun show loophole and going to the gun shows and buying them without the background check. Because you can go to the gun show and buy it from a private. And I'm not even saying anything's wrong with it. I don't have a problem with the gun show loophole. I just don't. But, if I want to go buy a used gun from a vendor, from a private individual, private seller at a gun show, then, so be it. That's my Second Amendment right to do just that. So, but that's, and they're buying them from individuals. So, which, it still is illegal, even for a private individual to knowingly sell a gun to a convicted felon. we always talk about, I know I'm about to make some people mad here. We always hear the term common sense gun control. Here's the only thing that if you had to convince me of something that's common sense, if I have to do a background check and a 3-day wait or whatever it is without a concealed carry permit, enhanced carry thing anyway, to buy a new gun, you should have to do that to buy a used gun, whether it's from a private seller or not. And I would just think if you're the private seller, you'd want to protect yourself and know you're not selling a gun to a convicted felon. Because if that gun ends up being used in the commission of a crime later, and then they track it back to you, you are going to get in trouble for selling that gun to a convicted felon if they were a convicted felon. I would just think that, hey, go to somewhere with an FFL and let them do the transfer for you, pay them the $20 or whatever, and protect yourself. Should that be law? I don't know. I mean, if you had to convince me of some kind of common sense gun law, sure. But that's not going to stop any of this because, criminals are still going to break laws. Criminals are still going to buy stolen guns because do you think that if you're thinking about killing somebody, they're not concerned if they're also going to catch a felon in possession of a stolen firearm, or even if they're not felons yet, they don't care. So all this is just irrelevant banter anyway. Read some more of your text here. We got about a minute before we got to take our next break. Unknown texter. Shouldn't the black community take care of their community before they start throwing parties for their community? You can make that argument. But, if there was no... I don't want to tell people they can't party just because segments of their community have problems, because Leland was never on the radar for having a bunch of problems, at least not to this extent. And they'll tell you these boys weren't from Leland. These people weren't from here. Where were they from? We need to find that out. Unknown texter. Responsible gun ownership is the key. Thugs are not responsible. Correct. All right, man, we got a ton of posts and comments here that I want to get to. Michelle says, I'm the same way, Clay. I don't mind my alone time. Some can't be alone, and I have never understood that. Glad to see others are wired like me. Have a great day. That was from my opening monologue there where I was talking about I'm perfectly fine spending a lot of time alone with my thoughts, singing songs, writing rhymes. I'm kidding. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Edward shows we wind down hour 1 here. Coming up in hour 2, man, we got a really good interview with my friend whose name I can never... Holly Jeffries. Holly Jeffries is going to be in here on the phone calling in to discuss this tragic verdict up there in North Mississippi where they basically victim shamed a young student who was sexually assaulted by a staff member. I was corrected, not an educator, but a staff member of North Mississippi School District up there. So y'all don't go nowhere. We'll be right back, and then we'll circle back to the gun stuff. All right, guys, y'all don't go anywhere. I got to get Holly on the phone. We're going to talk about this sexual assault up there in the school district that's being just an absolute shit show of a cover-up. And I hope I've got y'all's blood boiling this morning because we're going to talk about – there's nothing that pisses me off more than people talking about taking away my guns and people not being punished for assaulting children. Ooh-wee. Man. This is Mississippi. We ain't supposed to have these problems, but we do because there's just enough Democrat bullshit around here to make it happen. Y'all don't go nowhere. I'll be right back. Y'all keep them comments going, man. Enjoy the conversation. I'll tell you what we'll do is so y'all can keep the comments up on the screen. Everybody can see each other's stuff. I'll just put a T-shirt up here. Well, that doesn't work, does it? It blocks half the screen. So, well, we'll just put my paid ad up there. Damn it, wrong one. And it's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios, where you can always text Clay to 601-800-5130 for your complimentary testosterone screening today from Men's Health of Mississippi. Guys, I posted some progress photos last night, or a progress photo with a more recent before photo from a year ago to now, and then I posted one from 3 years ago and now, and the changes to my body have been absolutely just unimaginable. I still got some lower belly fat I'm trying to shake off, but hey, your boy does still enjoy a cold beer here and there. But I am trying my best to cut back there and get rid of that last little spare tire around my waist. But you can go check those pictures out. They're on my Facebook pages at SaveJXN, or my personal page, Clay Edwards. You can find it if you want to see it bad enough. And take a look at that, and just know that it all started because I decided to go get my testosterone levels checked, saw that I was below 300, and made a conscious decision to change the direction my life was going. And that was to start working out. That was to start eating better on a more consistent basis. And I've had ups and downs. I gained 30 pounds back after I'd lost 70. Got happy in a relationship and then got out of one. Anyway, it's just typical. Life happens over a 3-year span. But I've been rededicated for the last 3 months and have seen the most amazing changes in the last 3 months than I have in the last 3 years, other than the weight loss. So you can check that out. And again, man, I highly recommend going and getting your levels checked. It all starts just knowing where you're at. Get your blood work done. See if there's any deficiencies that are preventing you from being able to gain muscle, from being able to lose weight. And look, man, testosterone is way more. You don't have to be out of shape to have low testosterone. You can be in good shape, but low testosterone could be affecting a lot of things. Your sex life, your sleeping, your depression, your happiness, all of that stuff. Are you waking up without the morning wood? You probably got low testosterone. Check it out. You will not regret it. Men's Health Mississippi. Text Clay, 601-800-5130. And look, never hesitate to reach out to me. I'll talk to you about the testosterone stuff till I'm blue in the face. I love talking about it. I love talking about me. So anyway, I'm kidding. Let's go to the Mazda Jackson phone line. We got Holly Jeffrey on the line. Holly's been a guest on the show a couple times. But we're talking about this wild verdict up in DeSoto County, Mississippi, where a woman, Allie Whiteside, basically just got house arrest for assaulting a young child 9 years younger than her. Holly, how old was the victim? Oh crap! Hey, Holly, sorry about that. Holly, how old was the victim? Hello, hey Holly, you there?
Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah. I can hear you. You there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I had you on the line already. Holly, what I was asking was, I kind of set this up a little bit. How old was the victim in this case? I know the perpetrator was 9 years her senior. We were trying to figure out how young the victim was. Do you know off the top of your head?
From the records that I've tried to read through, and from the
well, I see it here now. Aldi was 26, so the girl was 9 years, and she would have been 16.
She would have been 15 or 16 when it started.
Okay.
And the allegations were made, my understanding, were last November. So it's been a year since the allegations were made, and then it had been going on for months prior to that. So it went on for at least 6 months, if not longer, is what I'm reading through some of the information that I've got.
And
she would have been 15 or 16 when this started.
So, and the victim was a girl.
The victim was female, yes.
And the girl here was a employee of the church. Is that what this is?
So she's listed in the DeSoto School District as an assistant basketball coach. My understanding is her father was this great basketball coach in DeSoto County, to the point where, like, his name is on the basketball arena up there. And then she was also a youth pastor at Get Well Church I don't know if it's a Baptist church or what, but it's Getwell Church there in DeSoto County. She was on staff there as a youth pastor. And so that's where she came in contact with this young lady, is through her youth group. And according to the district attorney, she began grooming this young lady in the youth group and through text messages, and then pursued her and was able to manipulate things on trips and groom her parents to gain access to this young lady.
I'm pulling her image up on the screen here so people can put a picture put a face to the story here. And she looks soulless in her eyes. Like there's just nothing there. Yeah, we got that pulled up now.
The district attorney and his the district attorney had a 30-minute press conference after the trial the other day. And well, it wasn't a trial; it was a sentencing hearing because she did plead guilty. And I was really surprised that he had one for so long, because he was pretty scathing of the whole sentencing hearing and the judge and everything. But he called her a soulless, manipulative, narcissistic monster, pretty much. That she was very attention-seeking. He did not see very much remorse in her statement. It was all about her rather than the victim. He's not impressed by her at all, and really portray her as, I came on your show earlier this year and we talked about predators and just how manipulative and predatory they are. And that's exactly how he described her, that there was this intentional pursuit and grooming, not just of the young lady, but of the community and the girl's parents, which is very typical of your typical pedophile. They are going to groom the community first so that you believe that they're a good person, and then they're going to choose a child that the community will not believe. And that's what happened in this case. If you looked at and watched the press conference, the family had a spokesperson who spoke at the press conference, and it was a family member. I don't know if she was an aunt or, what. She didn't say what her relationship to the family was, just that she was a part of their family. And she talked about how hard it has been on this victim, because when the victim made the outcry last November, the community, which she indicated was the church, came out in support of the predator.
That's not surprising, unfortunately.
That does not surprise me, because this is the same story, different verse that I've seen for years. And it's because the church is so naive when it comes to sexual predators. They groom the church and the community first and then prey after the children.
Well, they also have some liability, some civil liability. And I believe that if they come out and they speak out against it, they almost are admitting guilt. So they almost have to ride this thing down to the bottom of the dang ocean, side by side with them, which is just disgusting. And and this isn't even the worst. This isn't even the worst part. Well, beyond the crime itself, the church standing beside the girl isn't the worst part. The school board member, and the fact that she only got 3 years house arrest. What was the sentence? That was just house, a really low sentence, crazy sentence here. I'm sorry, I got a lot going on here trying to see it all. But she got a ridiculously low sentence. They were going for a 30-year prison sentence, and she got just a couple of years on house arrest.
And let's go back to the charge. So we're not talking about like a fondling charge. We're not talking about like a statutory rape charge where, statutory rape is one of those where it's a consensual relationship and the parents want to hold the older boyfriend or girlfriend accountable or whatever. This is sexual battery. This is violent sexual assault, right? Like this is penetration. This is the charge that's just below rape, and they almost never can charge with rape because the statute, the burden of proof for rape is so high that almost every incident of rape has to be downgraded to sexual battery. So she's charged with sexual battery, and not just sexual battery, but sexual battery by person of authority and trust over this young lady. And so some of the people in the community, are saying, well, this was a consensual relationship. Well, no, it can't be. Not when you're 10 years older, not when you're in a position of authority and trust. And so we're not talking about some, she touched my butt or, pinched her on the breast. This was actual sexual battery, which is penetration of some kind, over a 6-month period. So there were probably multiple counts of this, but they probably let her plead to just one count and ask for the maximum charge. And she gets house arrest, which is basically, I'm walking around town with an ankle monitor. Like, she can leave her house, she can go to her favorite restaurant, she can sit and go to her favorite movie. She just has to be home by about 6 or 7 o'clock every night and check in.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. And she is still out there and potentially groom other kids. And is she still affiliated with the church? Do we know?
I'm going to assume that she probably attends there, and for liability purposes, they probably do not have her on staff because now she's going to have to be a registered sex offender. But I would bet you, and this is what other churches who might be listening need to understand, when you allow a registered sex offender to come into your congregation openly and sit openly with the rest of the congregation and not have specific rules for them and where they can go and worship, you've just told every victim in your church that predator is more important to you than any victim in your congregation. It's incredibly traumatizing and triggering when a child or other victim walks into a church setting and they see registered sex offenders sitting around the room in the congregation worshiping with them. There should be different rules and different standards for when and where those predators can come to church and worship. Put them in a different room and video it in. Let them attend online. Do you have rules at your church about what they can participate in? Is she going to be able to participate in the youth group? Is she going to be able to go on youth trips? Is she going to be able to be a part of the worship team? I mean, what's some crap if she's up there singing in the choir? You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
Most churches don't have some kind of policy in place of what are we going to do when we have somebody in our congregation? Are we going to kick them out?
I think
in
should.
this case, because they came forward and testified on her behalf and wrote all these nice letters, you better believe she's going to be sitting right there in the front row singing and worshiping with everybody else. And it's just a slap in the face of every victim that has ever had to go before a court and tell their story in front of strangers. And you say, the worst part is that she gets house arrest, but it's incredibly discouraging for victims who've been violated by somebody of trust within their church. It impacts their faith. It impacts their belief in God. Every worship song that they hear will trigger their memories of being sexually assaulted. Every time they walk into a church, it'll trigger their memories of being sexually assaulted. So to me, one of the bigger travesties of this is that it was somebody within the church that did this. They didn't just sexually violate her, they spiritually violated her. And it will take years for her to get back to a place where she trusts the church, not just because this person at the church sexually assaulted her, but the church stood by the perpetrator.
Can you do another segment with me? I want to talk about the school board member standing by her, and then her crazy excuse that, she didn't know that the victim was a member of the public schools, as if that should even matter.
It should matter. It should not matter at all. She's a child. What difference does it make?
It shouldn't matter. Let's stay with me through the break here, and we'll be right back with Holly Jeffries here on The Clay Edwards Show. guys, I got y'all's messages about this other feed that was interrupting that. I don't have a clue what it is. I had a WLBT article pulled up, but the channel that sends the feed into the computer is not even on. So that no sound should have been coming through. So I don't know what to tell y'all. I appreciate y'all letting me know, but there's 0 windows open on the computer. There's no other signal coming in from anywhere that I can see on my end. So, but if it's still doing it, and at the end of the day, it's not coming through my headphones. And what I have is a direct feed of what's going across the radio. So I would recommend going to WYAB.com and hit the listen live thing if it's still doing it. If not, maybe it just stopped. I'm not sure. It may have just had some kind of wires crossed with the WLBT article, because when they got video in it, when the video that it ends, they go to those ads and all that stuff and other articles and other videos and all that crap. They just go on this feedback loop from hell. So anyway, I appreciate everybody letting me know, but I've done everything I possibly do on my end. So if it is still doing it, Houston, we have a problem. So, all right, y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Live on WYAB. We have Holly Jeffries on the Mazda of Jackson phone line. Real quick before we get back to Holly, don't forget Mazda of Jackson. You can shop them online at MazdaofJackson.com, or, of course, in person right there at Briarwood Drive on 55. Stop by and check out the all-new Mazda CX-90 with interest rates starting at below 1% on some models with approved credit. And don't forget, Mazda Jackson is the home of the lifetime powertrain warranty on all new Mazdas, and exclusively at Mazda of Jackson, you get 1 year of free basic maintenance with the purchase of your new Mazda. That's right, 1 year of free oil changes, tire rotations, and all that good stuff. Free with the purchase of a new Mazda at Mazda of Jackson. Swing by, check them out today. Tell my boy Grady Patera that Clay said hello and that Clay sent you. But hey, if another salesman catches you, that's fine too. Work with them. If you can't remember Grady's name, good folks, man. I just always like to recommend people that I know because I know they take care of folks. I used to work with Grady at Herring Gear Toyota for a while. So old school memories there. Y'all stop by Mazda Jackson, locally owned, locally operated. Go see the Car family today. Shop them online, MazdaJackson.com. All right, on the Mazda Jackson phone, I'm picking back up with Holly Jeffries discussing this tragic miscarriage of justice up there in DeSoto County. It's just, Holly, it's really tragic as a proud conservative that I consider myself being, that this type of stuff can happen in a super red state like Mississippi, where we pride ourselves, as I wear my FAFO shirt right now on this show, where we pride ourselves in criminals that especially mess with children and making sure that they get punished to the fullest extent of the law. The fact that something like this can happen in a red state like this, where we taught the talk about, we'll line them up and shoot them. I mean, we talk about doing the worst things possible to sexual predators, especially sexual predators of children. And then we allow something like this to happen. This is absolute corruption at its worst, and it's disgusting. And as I'm sitting here, I want to cuss, I want to drop F-bombs, I want to start throwing stuff. I'm at that point of flipping tables like Jesus over stuff like this, and I've gotten really fired up about it during the break as I sit here and think about it. And then there's and I can't pull the computer back up because I'm having a little glitch here, the article, but there's a school board member up there who wrote a letter for this predator, talking about what a great person she was. And
not just her. There were 9 other teachers, including a vice principal, who also wrote letters, along with many church members and a former chief of police. That's what. So, going back to your statement about this being a red state and we're conservative, and, we say in theory that we are against sexual predators until it's somebody that we know. And then we're like, there's no way they could do that. There's no way they would be that kind of person. But in this case, Clay, they were not writing letters of support for her going to trial. They were writing letters of support in her plea hearing. She was pleading guilty.
That's even worse.
Battery.
She's admitting to doing it, and they're still supporting her.
Yes. And that's the conundrum we're in, is that, and it, you know, in the Deep South, we're deeply religious people. And we have a heart of forgiveness, and we have a heart of giving people second chances.
To a fault.
To a fault. And predators know it, and they take advantage of it, just like in this case. And God forbid that they work at a church, because then they're almost never going to get time. Or if this had gone before a jury trial, it's very possible that she would have been found not guilty, especially if it was tried in DeSoto County.
You know, Holly, one of the things I talk about a lot on the show, and it really ruffles some feathers, but you know I'm not afraid to ruffle feathers, is how I got to where I'm at, saying the things that others wish they could say. And one of the things I like to talk about is stereotypes or trends, so to say. And one of the things I've noticed, and me and you may have talked about this, I'll need to go back and listen to some of our shows, but one of the things I've noticed is, and it's usually men we're talking about here, this is the first time that I've seen it be a woman, but I have a problem with grown men that want to be youth pastors. And I know I shouldn't. I should be like, man, they're doing the Lord's work. But I think youth should be doing youth ministering, not grown-ups doing youth ministering. So that's a red flag for me. Single grown men that want to work in elementary schools is a big red flag for me. And because all you got to do is go look at the people who end up getting in trouble for these crimes. It's single men in their 40s or older that still live with their mothers, that sing in the choir or teach choir or any of that stuff. Big red flag. Let's check their hard drive before we let them around kids. And I could just go on and on and on. So I'm a little shook here, and I don't use that word often. I'm a little shook that this girl, that a predator, a female predator, of the LGBTQ persuasion, you know, look, I try not to judge with the LGBTQ stuff. I really don't, because I try not to say my sin is not different than your sin. But I kind of got a problem with when we're allowing, was she a known lesbian? Do people know she was gay?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm going to assume not. And she came from a very prominent, well-loved, well-respected family, too. Let's not forget.
Yeah, that's a big part of this.
Allows for a really good cover. And some of the people in the community, I'm sure, felt compelled to help her family, compelled to support her family because of who she was connected to.
I'm curious how much money her family gives to the tithes to the church. Not that shouldn't matter, but I feel like that's a big part of this.
Well, I don't know if it's so much that as it's just, they're just probably a well-respected family in that community. Both of her parents, I think, were educators and had, worked for the school system. And they, and as teachers, you've educated hundreds, if not thousands, in the community over a 20 or 30 years period. Her father had coached probably thousands of kids. So, you're going to a church that is full of families that you've personally impacted because you've taught them or their children or their grandchildren. And so you've got this loving, supportive community for her family, and it just, I think, spills over to her to the detriment of this victim. And it's like we feel more sorry for the perpetrator than we do the victim. And in the very beginning, it was, they didn't even want to believe the victim.
I'm just blown away that we're victim shaming here.
I'm not, because it happens all the time, Clay. It happens all the time.
Well, true. I'm with you. It's just baffling to me that we're going to shame the victim when the perpetrator pled guilty, and we're still singing this song and dance of, yeah, but they're from a good family. Well, it won't happen again. Oh, it will absolutely happen again, because now she's gotten off with a slap on the wrist.
Right. And then the other thing that you've got here, is they had to have 13 deputies in the courtroom. Did you hear the DA say that in his interview?
No.
They had to have 13 deputies in the courtroom because they anticipated so many people coming to this, and the two sides were at such odds with each other. So there was a large turnout from the community that came to the court that day in support of the perpetrator. And I want to tell you a story. I have a friend that's a prosecutor that always tells this story. There was a particular trial of this little 8-year-old girl, and she had to testify in the courtroom in front of a whole courtroom full of people about her grandfather sexually abusing her. And she walks into the courtroom, and the prosecutor goes to the back of the room and walks her up the aisle to the stand. And she looks up at Victor, the prosecutor, and she said, "Is God mad at me too?" Because when she walked into the courtroom, her grandfather, behind her grandfather's part of the courtroom, sat her entire church. And the entire church looked at her as she walked in with these angry, accusing looks on their face, to the point where an 8-year-old child who associates the church with God thought, if they're mad at me, then God's mad at me too.
Oh.
Because she was coming in there to tell the truth about her grandfather. So when this victim had to come into the courtroom and see the church members sitting in support of her perpetrator, what did you think that this victim thought about God in that moment?
Would never want to go in church again.
In that moment. And if she saw teachers from her school sitting over there supporting her perpetrator in that moment, what does it tell that victim?
That God doesn't love her, that the community doesn't love her. She had to walk a gauntlet of ridicule and victim shaming and victim blaming, and part of this community is like, this poor youth pastor was accused of. No, they have 64,000 pages of text messages of sexual exploitation through the text messages proving that she did this. And then the victim has her own testimony with graphic detail of what happened. And I guarantee you, though, if we had not had the text messages, this never would have went to trial. And what I want to tell people who are listening, when somebody is arrested and charged with something like sexual battery, we live in a digital age now. There's lots of ways to get evidence more than just DNA. And digital technology is full of evidence. So if your youth pastor or your teacher gets arrested and charged with child pornography or some type of sexual assault against a child, you better believe law enforcement has done their job in gathering the digital evidence. Before you ever go write a letter of support for anybody, you might want to call law enforcement and say, hey, did they really do it? Do you have the evidence before you write that letter of support? Because they have 64,000 pages of graphic text messages that prove that she did it, plus the child's testimony. They didn't go to trial just on this girl's testimony alone. No, and I want to go back to before we get out of here. I want to go back to the school board member that made the comment that she didn't know the kid, that the victim was a public school, was in the school district. I'm just the audacity
Doesn't matter.
of that comment.
Doesn't matter.
And she'll win re-election.
Homeschooled. It doesn't matter if she went to your school or if she went to somebody else's school. She is a child, and this person who assaulted her was in a position of authority and trust. And so this person has no business being on the board of an education of any county, making decisions for children of any county.
Is there any, I don't understand, I know just enough about the legal system to be dangerous. Is there any, does the victim have anything? Can they do anything? Can anybody look at this and unwind this ridiculous sentencing?
So the district attorney and his staff got to digging and found that sexual battery is considered a violent crime, and house arrest is not it's not eligible for house arrest. So they are filing a motion back in the court to say this was an illegal sentence that sexual battery does not qualify for house arrest, and so there has to be some prison time. So the judge will probably likely have to come back and rehear those motions, and we'll have to rule on those motions, and then he'll probably have to re-sentence it. The other thing that the DA was going to do is, because she was a youth pastor and they went on lots of different youth trips to different places, she sexually assaulted her in those places as well.
Crossing state lines.
So there's multiple jurisdictions. So they're sending all of their evidence to these other state jurisdictions, and they're also sending it to the federal government. But then you've also got civil liability. And so even if you don't get the justice you deserve in the criminal justice system, there's always the civil liability. And so the victim's family has the ability to sue this woman.
See Ron Goldman's family and O.J. Simpson.
Right. And, I know lots of, there's a great trial attorney in Jackson or Ridgeland named Jesse Mitchell. He helps victims like this all the time. They can sue the church. They can sue the perpetrator personally. I don't know if they can actually sue any of the people who wrote the letters of support, because I feel like the letters of support are the things that swayed the judge, because the judge was not from that community, so he was not swayed by any relationships that he has with anybody there. I think, one, he is just a lax judge that does not hand out he's not like the judge in Rankin County. That's for damn sure.
This ain't Dewey.
The one that hands down those 30 and 40-year sentences for stuff like this, he never would have seen the light of day if this had happened in Rankin County.
Hey, Holly, I got to cut it here. We ran over big time. Look, I appreciate you so much. Keep doing this and keep me up to date on this, and let's touch base.
Absolutely. Thanks, Clay.
Thank you, Holly. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. We got about 5 minutes left of the show, the long segment anyway, here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness studio. Appreciate Holly Jeffrey calling in, man. Holly does a lot of work for sexual assault victims here in Mississippi and covers that stuff better than anybody and keeps up with it and fights for victims and their rights. And we've had her on the show several times here, and she just does the Lord's work. She really does. Great follow there. You can find her online on Facebook. Holly, it's Hollie Jeffries. Just Jeffrey, not Jeffries. Holly Jeffrey. Hey, real quick, this last big segment brought to you by Cypress Point Resort. Their big Halloween party this Friday night is back in the back 40 back there. It's in their big lodge, their special event center. It is Dr. Czar and the Amazing Funk Monsters. Tickets are selling fast. Get yours now. And look, it's in their banquet hall. Tickets are $65 each, or you can buy a big table for $750. But look, that's a big table for you, and I think 10 or 12 people, something like that. I think that comes, all of it comes with food. I mean, it's a big event. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck here. I know $65 sounds like a lot, but it's not. You're keeping the low rent folks out of there. That's my favorite part of paying $65 to get in somewhere. I ain't around a bunch of low rent folks, because I can't stand being around low rent folks, the no cover charge people, the cheap folks. Y'all get out there. You can go to, what is the website here? CypressPointMS.com and buy your tickets in advance now. It is a 21 and up event. Starts at 7 p.m. with Dr. Czar and the Amazing Funk Monster. But hey, look, there's plenty more going on over there at Cypress Point Resort if you don't want to do the Halloween party. You got Cameron's Garage. They got Thursday night football, Monday night football, Sunday football, live entertainment, and more. And it's never a cover charge unless there is. It'll be otherwise stated. And hey, look, coming up next Saturday, not this weekend, but next weekend, Saturday, you got Spank the Monkey. That's right, the legendary Spank the Monkey going to be out there live, full band, in concert. And then Sunday, they're going to be back at it doing an acoustic show out there. So Saturday and Sunday, you got Spank the Monkey, the Doc Legends, back in Central Mississippi for the first time in a long time. Can't wait. I will, in fact, be there that Saturday night, probably that Sunday, too. So if I'm not here Monday, y'all know what happened. All right, that's Cypress Point Resort. Hey, the Blue Plate special of the day is the Patty Melt. So swing by, enjoy lunch as well. Man, a lot to unpack today. Let's check out some of your comments online here. You just never know who to trust, man. You never know who to trust. When you have LGBTQ youth ministers, and that just seems to be a recurring theme, doesn't it? It's these, if it's a guy, he's usually, it's a youth minister, he seems to have a thing for young boys. When it's a girl, she seems to have a thing for young girls. I got a problem with it, man. I think they need to be strung up. And you can imagine, you can finish the rest of the sentence. You know, I have a problem with the church allowing, if they knew, and let's be honest, man, you usually know when somebody is LGBTQ, and I don't have a problem with LGBTQ, I'm being clear here, but I don't think the church should be promoting that. That's my problem with it. I don't think the church should be promoting out of wedlock straight sex. That, you know, that shouldn't be a church function. There shouldn't be a singles event at the church to meet up and have sex with people. That's why I don't think the church should knowingly have a lesbian over a youth class, or frankly any other. I don't like it. You know, and the church will say they didn't know, but you know. You ever seen her with a boy? No? Exactly. I just got problems with it. Let's read some of your texts here. Now I'm bouncing all over the place here with these texts. RT the brand says, I don't mind the blacks being called out for their transgressions, but keep the same energy for white transgressions. We do. I get the whole last hour of the show was calling out a white girl that molested a young girl. The whole last hour of the show was just that. So, I mean, I don't know how to make you people happy. I really don't. Go to WLBT.com or pick a website, a local news site. Hit news, hit crime, and just stroll down. And you tell me how many stories don't feature a black mugshot. Hey, look, I see all the ones that are white. Trust me, if I miss one, y'all tag me. I found one yesterday from back at the end of from September 24th and made a video about it. I called it the Methed Around and Found Out Grand Championship because it's a story I missed. But somebody sent it to me and I made a video about it. I don't feel like I owe it to anybody to make sure I cover all the white crime, but I try to cover it. I legitimately do because I get tired of hearing about it. And frankly, I think it's funny. I think when white people commit certain kind of crimes, it's usually a certain kind of white person that does it, of the white trash variety. And I can't stand white trash. I find them rather annoying. And I can't stand meth heads in particularly. So I love to humiliate them. I love to parade them out there and make fun of them. I rarely miss the opportunity to do so. So that's why I find it comical that I constantly see black folks just convinced that I only talk about black crime. My recommendation would be have a conversation with your black friends and neighbors about not committing crimes if you don't want me talking about them committing crimes. We'll be right back to land the plane for the day. This is the Clay Edwards Show. All right, guys. I mean, it's just becoming nauseating having this conversation. Black people commit way more crimes than white people. It just is what it is. That's statistically factual, no debate. Blacks commit more crimes than whites. I don't know why. Don't know if it's just you're bored or economic situations, culture rot, daddy wasn't around, mama wasn't around, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I don't care. I cover crime. This is a news reaction show. If you're tuning into the Clay Edwards Show, it's a news reaction show. We don't take deep dives into world global issues. This is here's something else I thought about this morning. This is probably the only conservative talk radio show in the country where you will rarely hear the words Israel come out of my mouth. I don't have Israel derangement syndrome, and I don't give a shit about Israel. I don't give two fucks if Israel cease to exist tomorrow or if they take over the entire Middle East. I feel the same way about Palestine. I don't give a fuck if Palestine takes over the Middle East or gets pushed into the sea. Do not give a shit. Same way with Ukraine. I don't give a fuck. I talk about Mississippi 99% of the time, or culture rot somewhere here in America when relevant. So we're a news reaction show. The show, we don't do a lot of research. We don't take deep dives into topics. We find stupid stories of Democrats usually behaving badly, and we mock and meme them. If you're tuning in for much more than that, you probably got the wrong show or you have tuned into the wrong channel. I mean, that we're here to mock and meme idiots until they cry, and then we mock and meme them for crying. That's what we do here. F around, find out. I mean, it's like the whole thing. If you're taking this show much more serious than that, you've got the wrong show. Occasionally, we will hit a serious topic like what we just did with Miss Holly because we have a huge platform, and I want to mock and meme and shame that white community up there that claims to be Republicans, that claim to be Christians. I want to expose them for running cover for a pedophile. So I bet you no other talk radio station or show in the state is doing what we just did. So for all the people that say, Clay, don't talk about white transgressions, I just called out an entire white community for running cover for a pedophile. Y'all have a blessed day. I hope y'all will be back here tomorrow as we continue to mock and meme idiots till they cry, and then we mock and meme them for crying. Stop by my website. Stop by and shop on my website, buyfafo.com.